Hi, this is Nasa Serene, and you're watching NASA's Biochem on amino acid metabolism. We have successfully completed 7 videos on metabolism, and this is video 8. And this is on the topic amino acid metabolism. Let us deal with the syllabus. Amino acid metabolism has two parts. The first part includes transamination, deamination, that is oxidative deamination, non-oxidative deamination, and decarboxylation. This is the second part, which involves urea cycle and significance. We are going to deal with the urea cycle and significance in part 2, and in part 1 we are going to deal with the first part of the syllabus. Before starting on with the actual amino acid metabolism, let us have a look on the university questions. This is a quarantine video, so I'm going to keep the topic as simple, as precise as possible, but I'm not going to neglect any of the topics or any of the important points. So it will be the best video for amino acid metabolism. The questions include: what is transamination? Give an example. You can take the screenshot as I read the questions. So these are the part 1 questions. What is transamination? And give an example. What is, or with examples, explain oxidative deamination, transamination, decarboxylation of alpha amino acids. This carries 6 marks. And the third question is explain deamination reaction with an example, which carries 2 marks. You can see that they have asked transamination, they have asked deamination, they have asked deamination, which is oxidative deamination, they have asked transamination again, and decarboxylation. So majorly they are dealing with transamination, deamination, decarboxylation. So 2 marks, 6 marks, and 2 marks. Next question is explain transamination and deamination of amino acid with an example. Because they have asked both, they are asking it for 4 marks. Now on decarboxylation, there can be a direct question like this, or they can ask the decarboxylation reaction separately. Like in the 5th question, name the products of decarboxylation of glutamic acid. They have specified glutamic acid and histidine, give their biological significance. This is a 3 marks question. In biochemistry, there is a possibility of 2 marks, 6 marks, 4 marks, and 3 marks questions. And again on decarboxylation, they have asked name the product formed when histidine, they have specified histidine, undergoes decarboxylation, mention the significance of the reaction, and write the reaction catalyzed by glutamate decarboxylase. This is again on decarboxylation reaction. They have asked specifically the enzyme glutamate decarboxylase for 2 marks. These 7 questions are from part 1. These are the other 3 questions of amino acid metabolism, which are for part 2. You can quickly take the screenshot of this. I'm not going to read this because I'm not going to cover this in this video. However, I'm going to deal this again when I'm dealing it with urea cycle in part 2 of amino acid metabolism. Before starting amino acid metabolism, you need to know few of the structures so that the amino acid metabolism becomes easy. Amino acid metabolism is otherwise called as protein metabolism also. So in the structures, you know that carbon is tetrahedral in nature. So a tetrahedral carbon, which is otherwise called as alpha carbon, it has a basic amino group and a acidic carboxyl group. Apart from that, it has H to balance it and a R group. Depending on the R group, we are going to decide what is the name of the amino acid. If R group is H, if this R is replaced by H, then it is glycine. If it is replaced by CH3, then alanine. If it is CH3 twice, this is a branch amino acid, which is valine. If it is CH2 one time CO minus, it is aspartate. If it is CH2 twice CO minus, glutamate. Aspartate and glutamate are the acidic amino acids. So single CH2 CO minus is aspartate, 2 times CH2 CO minus is glutamate. So if R is replaced by hydroxylic amino acids like CH2OH, it is serine. If it is CH2SH, it is cysteine. This is thio containing amino acid, thiohydral. If it is CH2 twice SCH3, then it is methionine, which is nothing but the initiation codon. If it is CH2 and then a phenyl group involving NH, then it is histidine. If it is CH2 with the benzene ring and OH, you have seen this CH2OH is serine, but CH2 with the phenyl group OH is tyrosine. So this is hydroxyl containing amino acid, but this is hydroxyl containing aromatic amino acid. If it is CH2 4 times NH2, then it is lysine. The structure of lysine has been asked many times in the examination. CH2 4 times. If R is replaced, if your R is replaced with CH2 4 times NH2, it is lysine. Lysine is also an example for basic amino acid. So these structures are clear. There is one more amino acid. This is actually not an amino acid, but it is a type of amino acid, but it doesn't come under 20 amino acids. You can see the alpha carbon having H, and then it has NH3 plus, and it has COO minus, as it is a acidic group and a basic group, and the R is replaced by CH2 3 times NH3. It is a basic amino acid, a kind of basic amino acid which is nothing but ornithine. Please remember this structure. Apart from that, you have, these are other compounds which you have studied in glycolysis and TCA cycle, which are very important for amino acid metabolism also. You know that CO minus C double bond O CH3 is pyruvate. Methyl group, keto group and carboxyl group is pyruvate. If the methyl group is changed with CO minus CH2, it becomes oxaloacetate. If you add one more CH2 here, it becomes alpha ketoglutarate. CH3 of pyruvate, if it is replaced by CO minus CH2, it becomes oxaloacetate. The CH2 of oxaloacetate, if you add one more, then it becomes alpha ketoglutarate. I suppose the structures are clear. So now we can start with the actual amino acid metabolism. The amino acid metabolism is otherwise called as protein metabolism also. So let us deal with the principle of the amino acid metabolism. This is nothing but the principle of amino acid metabolism. Here you can see, before dealing the principle of amino acid metabolism, you will have to know few things. Point number 1. Proteins are biomolecules. They are digested to form amino acids. Proteins get digested to form amino acids. Amino acids are the building blocks of proteins. Point 1. Point 2. Proteins are normally not involved in the oxidation of energy, or they are not for energy. Carbohydrates serve as energy. If there is no carbohydrate, little amount of protein is utilized for energy production, that too on the oxidation process. So oxidation. Next, it is like they are constantly synthesized and degraded just to have a proper turnover. You know that 50% of the cell's dry weight is made up of protein. So if you have millions of cells in your body, that means 500,000 of your body, or half of your body, is made up of proteins. So to understand it in one line, proteins are synthesized or degraded. So amino acid metabolism is nothing but synthesis of proteins or the degradation of proteins, in simple words. Now starting on with the actual principle, proteins are either obtained as dietary proteins, that is, you get this in food. They are obtained as dietary proteins, or they are endogenous proteins, that is, your body will synthesize this, that is known as endogenous protein, or from the other nitrogenous products. So proteins are obtained either from food, or from your body, or from other nitrogenous products. They are ultimately going to be digested to form amino acids. These amino acids further will synthesize alpha keto acids, which will enter into TCA cycle, electron transport system, or glucose metabolism, or lipid metabolism. This is entire synthesis pathway. This is one way. Okay. Now in amino acid metabolism, we are not dealing with the synthesis pathway, we are dealing with the degradation pathway. Under degradation pathway, as I have told, there are transamination, deamination, that is oxidative and non-oxidative, and decarboxylation. So we are going to deal those 4. So in this, if you can see, the alpha amino group, which is present in the amino acid, is reversibly transferred to a alpha keto acid. So this is an amino acid which is having alpha amino group in it. The amino group is being reversibly transferred to a alpha keto acid, and this is done by transaminase enzymes. Hence it is known as transamination. What is transamination? The amino group that is present in the alpha amino acid is reversibly means it is reversible reaction. It takes place in forward and backward direction. So it is reversibly transferred to a alpha keto acid, and utilizing of course, it is going to involve the enzyme, which is nothing but transaminases. They catalyze this reaction, and they require coenzyme called as pyridoxal phosphate, which is derivative of vitamin B6 pyridine. So this process is known as transamination. So amino group has been transferred to a keto acid. Now from this keto acid, what happens? You have got the amino group in the glutamate. Glutamate is nothing but acidic amino acid. From this glutamate, the amino group is removed. It is deaminated as ammonia. This second step is known as deamination, and because it is oxidative in nature, hence it is the enzyme that is involved here is glutamate dehydrogenase. So it is deaminated. Whatever ammonia is being deaminated, ammonia is a highly toxic substance. This has to get converted to a non-toxic substance like urea. So ammonia is going to react with carbon dioxide. The carbon dioxide is obtained from the HCO3 bicarbonate or bicarbonic acid. So ammonia reacts with carbon dioxide in presence of ATP, or it consumes ATP to form carbamoyl phosphate. This is the activation step. So it forms carbamoyl phosphate. This carbamoyl phosphate enters into urea cycle, giving you urea. So a highly toxic substance ammonia gets converted to non-toxic substance urea. This is the significance of urea cycle, and it is excreted in urine. So this is part 2. I am not going to deal with part 2 here. So let us deal with the part 1, transamination, deamination and decarboxylation. So what is transamination? The process by which an amino group is reversibly transferred from an amino acid to a keto acid is called transamination. Transamination reactions are catalyzed by enzymes called as transaminases. They require PLP as coenzyme. So let us understand this with an example. So I have taken the amino acid alanine. Alanine, the R group, you know, it is CH3. So, and alpha ketoglutarate, I have told you the structure. So it is CO minus C double bond O of pyruvate, and the CH3 is replaced by CH2CO minus. So I have alanine, an amino acid. I have a alpha ketoglutarate, which is a alpha keto acid. So CH3, the amino group, that is NH3 group, which is present here in the amino acid alanine, is reversibly transferred to a keto acid. It is reversibly transferred to a keto acid to give glutamate. So what has happened? CO minus CH2, CH2 is as it is, and this half gets attached here. This is nothing but glutamate, and it forms pyruvate. So what has happened? The amino group of the alpha amino acid is reversibly transferred to a alpha keto acid to form an acidic amino acid, which is nothing but glutamate, and this is known as transamination. And the enzyme, because you have used alanine, the enzyme is alanine transaminase, and PLP is a coenzyme. I suppose transamination is clear. Moving on to oxidative deamination. So you have seen in transamination, in glutamate, the whatever amino group was there in the amino acid is filled into or funneled into the glutamate. The amino group is funneled into glutamate. Now from glutamate, it has to be removed. The ammonia has to be removed. So the alpha amino groups that are funneled into glutamate by transamination are then released as ammonia by the action of glutamate dehydrogenase. Why do we need enzyme glutamate dehydrogenase? Because this is an oxidative deamination. In oxidative deamination, we always know that NAD gets converted to NADH plus H plus. So ammonia is being removed. So you can see it is removed as NH4, and this becomes CH2. Now you have got back the alpha keto glutarate. So this is nothing but oxidative deamination. Moving on to non-oxidative deamination, this is seen majorly in hydroxylic amino acids. I have told you hydroxylic amino acids, CH2OH. If R group is CH2OH, it is hydroxylic amino acid. So from an hydroxylic amino acid as serine is very easy example. So if you are going to remove ammonia, okay, And here you are not using serine dehydrogenase because this is non-oxidative, and NAD doesn't get converted to NADH plus H plus because this is non-oxidative. Okay, serine dehydratase, of course PLP you are going to use as a coenzyme, and you will get ammonia comes out, and what product you get is CO minus C double bond O CH3, which is nothing but pyruvate. There is one more example of hydroxylic amino acid threonine. You can take this example or you can avoid it. Non-oxidative deamination has never been come in the exam. They have never asked, but if they ask, it's very simple. You are going to remove the ammonia. Now, decarboxylation is very, very important. This is the last topic of the the part 1 video. So here you can see I have taken serine again. Okay, serine. This serine, if in the previous deamination, what we did, we took hydroxylic amino acid serine, but we removed ammonia because it was deamination. But here the same serine I have taken as an example, but instead of removing ammonia, I am removing carbon dioxide. Hence it is called as decarboxylation. If they ask you for deamination, take serine, remove ammonia. If they ask you for decarboxylation, take serine as an example, remove carbon dioxide. So serine on decarboxylation by the enzyme serine decarboxylase, of course coenzyme will be PLP here, you get ethanol amines. They form ethanol amine. You can see carbon dioxide is being removed. So here degradation of amino acid may also involve decarboxylation, leading to the formation of amines. One point you will have to remember, the primary amines that are formed on removal of alpha carboxylic group have a great physiological importance. The enzyme that catalyze these are known as amino acid decarboxylase. So if they ask you decarboxylation of amino acids, you can take serine as an example and attack the carbon COOH group. If they ask you deamination, you take serine only as an example, but you attack the amino group. So if they ask you decarboxylation, but they have asked in two different ways. They have asked, instead of serine decarboxylase, they have asked explain with respect to the role of glutamate decarboxylase. So for that you will have to take glutamate. You know what is glutamate? Glutamate is nothing but where R group is CH2 twice CO minus. You take glutamate as an example, use glutamate decarboxylase, remove carbon dioxide and form the ethanol amine. What ethanol amine? You get this kind of ethanol amine, which is nothing but GABA, that is alpha beta gamma, gamma amino, butyric, 4 carbons, butyric acid, gamma amino tributyric acid. And they have asked you what is the role of GABA, or what is the role of the compound. Name the compound which is formed on the decarboxylation of glutamate and give its biological significance. That question is being asked. So glutamate on decarboxylation gives you GABA, which serves as a neurotransmitter in brain. There is one more question. Instead of glutamate, for decarboxylation you will have to use histidine. Okay, so they have asked name the byproduct of histidine and its biological importance or significance. So histidine on histidine decarboxylase, that is removal of carbon dioxide, it is going to form histamine. So histamines are known for allergic responses in skin. They are otherwise called as vasodilators. Antihistamines are given to the patients who are suffering from allergies, and also it controls the ulcers, that controls the secretion of acids in the stomach. So it helps in to overcome stomach ulcers or overcome allergic responses in skin. So if they ask you just decarboxylation, take example of serine, form ethanol amine by removing carbon dioxide. But if they ask you for glutamate specifically, so mention glutamate on decarboxylation forms gamma amino butyric acid, in major neurotransmitter in the brain. And if they ask you for histidine, histidine forms histamine, which is involved in allergic responses and controls the acid secretion in stomach. Okay, I have not given the structure for histidine because they have never asked in the exam the structure of histidine or histamine formation. The reaction has been not asked. They have asked the reaction catalyzed by glutamate decarboxylase, but they have not asked the reaction that involves the histidine. So, but still, I suppose you know I have given the structure of histidine, so you know how to write the reaction for that. So, I have given you the questions. So I have dealt all the 7 questions that are there in this part 1. I have dealt what is transamination, I have dealt oxidative deamination, transamination, decarboxylation of alpha amino acid. Again deamination I have dealt, transamination and deamination, yes. Name the products of decarboxylation of glutamic acid and histidine. I have told it is GABA and histamine, and their biological significance I have told as neurotransmitter in brain and in allergic responses of skin. And yes, histidine under decarboxylation, again antihistamine tablets for allergic responses. Right reaction catalyzed by glutamate decarboxylase, that is nothing but GABA, formation of GABA. So these are the only university questions which will come, and I have it's like every time the Bangalore University syllabus has been changed, but irrespective of whether it is changed or the old syllabus, these are the only questions. This is the questions which are being asked almost from 2 decades. Apart from this, they have not asked any questions. They will not ask akasmat kelidre baikobedi. So these are the only questions that is being asked. So all the best for the exams. Well, I dedicate this video to my student Sakshat TN, my 2012 pass out student. He has secured centum in every semester, in all the semesters, in all the paper 8 chemistry. I mean paper 1 chemistry till paper 8. So 8 centums he has got, and he is a PCM student. I always feared if he would get centum in biochemistry because they don't have biology background. So biochemistry will be very difficult for them, but he secured centum even in biochemistry. So I dedicate this video for him especially, and he is my student in MES. He is my former colleague also at MES and MES Degree College, and he is currently working as professor at MS Ramaya Engineering College. He's done his PhD. I hope and bless a very bright future to him. And I also dedicate this video to all the PCM students of 2012. May God bless them. So this is Nasserine signing off with amino acid metabolism part 1. We will soon meet with part 2, which is very important, which is a very short video on urea cycle and its significance. Till then, take care. Bye bye. All the best.